to Thursday's Movement Not Miracles. I nearly said Wednesday. I'm getting very confused with my days. I've just put a cup of tea down and it was a very lovely cup of tea as well. So anyway, we will crack on. So Thursday, the 14th of May, Movement Not Miracles. And today I'm just going to work through some back mobility stuff. A bit of a combination of some floor work and also some kneeling down work, which you could do seated. There are some slight variations that I can show you for some of the moves. So we're going to work through just trying to get some mobility through your upper back and your lower back today. So as I keep saying most days, when we're sitting still in one position for a long period of time, which some of us are sitting still more often, then it can create problems with our posture and also with some aches and pains. So these Movement Not Miracle sessions are, the main purpose for them is to just give you some ideas on stuff that you can do to help you keep moving and help you look after your posture and some simple ways of stretching and moving your joints. So the first one we're going to do today is Downward Dog, and we have done this one before. So we're just going to use this as a sort of general, let's wake our body up, and also we're going to then come back to it to focus on our upper back. So to start off with, your hands underneath your shoulders, fingers spread quite wide. You need a good solid base. As with most things, these moves work best if you're working from a solid base. So fingers spread quite wide, knees kneeling down but with a bit of an angle to your hip and your toes tucked under. And then you're going to lift up through your toes, pushing your bottom back and push through your hands. Aiming to get your heels on the floor if you can. I can't, I don't know whether you can see that, but I can't get my heels on the floor. But you're pushing up through your hips, so your hips should be high, and you're trying to squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back chest. Relax your head. Arms should be straight. And bring that back down. And just sit back with your knees wide, toes together. Sit back on your heels and fold forwards. Arms straight. Head on the floor if you can. And then we're going to take that back into the Downward Dog. Toes tucked under. Push up through your hips. And let your head relax. And bring it back down. Again, toes together, knees apart, sit on your heels and fold forward from your groin. Put your forehead on the floor. If you can't reach the floor, that's fine. Relax to where you can go and push forward through your hands. Push down into the floor through your hands. But if you can relax down a little more and stick your head on the floor. Okay. Right, so we'll just do Downward Dog now with a bit more emphasis on your upper thoracic region. So you can, it's a really good all over body stretch, Downward Dog, and you're going to get some stretch through the backs of your legs and some mobility through your hips and also some movement through your shoulder blades and through your shoulders. So we're not going to ignore our legs, so your weight still has to be supported, but we're just going to focus a little bit more on our upper back and see if we can get a bit more mobility using this move. So I want you to really concentrate on your weight through your hands and think about your weight being distributed through the whole of your hands. So don't be leaning on the side of your hands or only on one or two fingers. See if you can feel all of your fingers in the floor. Tuck your toes under. And as you lift up, think of pushing the floor away from you. So it's as if you're pushing the floor forwards. And then, I don't know whether you can see this, but what I want you to do, I don't want your shoulders hunched up by your ears. So I'm just going to come down and show you. You don't want this to be happening when your arms are up. You actually want there to be some space across your collarbones and through your shoulders. So what you're aiming to do is when you're pushing away, you're keeping that space there. And for that to happen, you have to squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back chest. So rather than that, we're doing that. I don't know whether you can see my shoulder blades moving, but you're keeping, so you have to work, well I have to work quite hard through this part of my back to keep that space and keep that happening. But by doing that, we can access our upper back more and hopefully get a bit more movement through that part of our back, which can get quite stiff. So think of shoulder blades squeezing together, pushing the floor away. It sometimes helps to lift your head up. It helps me, but you can try. I could get into that upper back a bit more. Lift up through your hips, don't ignore your hips. Okay, right, that feels a little better. Now, we're going to move towards the wall. And we're going to, hopefully I'm going to be able to show you this. I do it standing, just about. Now unfortunately I've got a radiator in the way. Preferably you want to have your bottom against the wall so that you can rest your elbows and your hands flat against the wall. So these are called stick-em-ups. You can do them lying on the floor as well, but we'll do a bit of a variation. We've done some floor work. So think of, your heels probably won't be dead against the wall, but bottom against the wall, shoulder blades against the wall, elbows, and you're aiming for your wrists. Now I can't bend my wrists back. That's quite hard work in my shoulders, just because my shoulder mobility is not brilliant. If you can keep this part of your arm flat against the wall, brilliant. So without letting your belly stick out or your bum stick out, so your pelvis, we're not letting that happen. We want your bum tucked under, nice straight back, look after that lower back. So you should be working, as ever with these moves, they are not passive moves. You're not just flopping into it. We're working, it's active movement, and we're working through the muscles to support the joints. So starts with your base. If you're seated, sit with your weight evenly distributed through your bottom. So you can still do these. You might not be able to use a wall, but maybe the back of a chair, or like I'm doing now, you have to sort of visualise. The wall just gives you a bit of feedback as to how far forward your arms are coming and whether you're in the right posture. So think of squeezing your shoulder blades onto the back of your chest and keeping that position. Work hard through your tummy so your belly doesn't stick out. And then you're going to move your arms up as far as you can go without letting your arms come off the wall, and move your arms down as low as they will go. Don't let your ribs flare out, so we don't want this to be happening. So we're making sure we're working through your core to keep all of that stable. This is really hard work for me. I don't like these at all, but they are so good for you. So we're moving up and down. something else which is quite good to access that upper back area. I'm going to do these kneeling down only so that you can see me, but you can do this standing or seated. So if you have, I've got a yoga belt, but you can use a broom handle or a dressing down cord, something like that. So what we're aiming to do, and again, good form with your back, do not let that lower back arch, so we don't want this happening. So you need your bottom tucked under, so if you're standing and if you're seated. So what we're going to do then is start off reasonably wide, so arms straight and holding onto the belt, and you're going to rotate, keeping your arms straight, your shoulders all the way over. So the wider your arms, the easier it is. So go quite wide to start off with. So if you're struggling, you need to be able to pull on the belt. So work out your distance, and then over we go. Squeeze your shoulder blades as your arms go over. So it should be nice and controlled. We're not forcing that move, and then gradually reduce. Ooh, there's a nice crunch then. Reduce the distance. Now I'm about on my limit there. I'm not going to be able to get my shoulders round if I go any closer. And my right arm is slightly bending. I don't know whether you can see that. And just relax and breathe into that. And that gets some nice movement through your shoulder blades and opens up the back of your chest and across your collarbones, which is quite nice. Right, we're going to do some work on stretching through the lower back now. And this is more of a stretch than a mobility move. And the one we're going to do is the seated forward bend. Well, as much of a bend as I can get. So we're going to be sitting quite tall, well, very tall, sitting on the bones of your bum, and imagine that you're being pulled up through by a rope attached to the crown of your head. So we're nice and straight, we're not slumped down. It's really difficult to get any sort of movement through our back, shoulders, if you're slumped down. So we're sitting nice and tall. Now, because I'm going to target one side of our lower back one at a time, we're going to bend our knee. So bring your foot, your sole of your foot into the inner thigh of your straight leg. Now this straight leg needs to be active, so you're working through your quad to push your leg into the floor and your toes stay pointing up. And what you're aiming to do is just let this leg relax. So we're just going to be interrupted.
No, I'm just going upstairs.
Okay. So you can use your dressing gown cord or belt to hook around your foot if you can't reach your toes. And it's less about, I'm less worried about your leg and the stretch in your leg, and it's more about the move in your back. So rather than me struggling to reach my toes, I'm going to hold on to the dressing gown, the yoga belt. Now what I want you to think about doing is moving your belly button forwards along your straight leg. So you're bending from your hip, from your hip joint, from your groin area, rather than reaching with your arms. Because what we're aiming to do is move through this part of our back. You will feel a stretch in your hamstrings, and actually if you're using the belt, then you can reduce how far you have to reach for your feet. So it takes, if you've got particularly tight hamstrings or your hamstrings are restricting your movement, you can take them out of it and get access to your back, which is what I'm trying to do today. So I'm not going to hit myself in the face with that then, that's not very good. Okay, so we are reaching forwards. Now whilst we're here and whilst we're talking about backs, we may as well think of squeezing those shoulder blades onto the back of your chest. So your back should be nice and flat. We're not rounded over and hunched up like this. So we're sitting nice and tall, as broad as you can across your collarbones, and think of moving your belly button along your straight leg. Get to work through that straight leg. Now you will feel the stretch in your lower back, hopefully, more on the same side as your straight leg, but you should feel some stretch or some movement in your outer hip of your bent leg. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So set yourself up so you're sitting nice and tall, one leg bent. You can do a forward bend across if you're seated. So same sort of thing, you're not going to be sitting on the floor, you'll be sitting in a chair with your legs, feet flat on the floor, and you can still bend forwards and stretch through your lower back. So again, think of broad across your collarbones, so your back is nice and flat, and you can pull on that belt to move forward through the lower part of your back. So I'm thinking of moving my button along that leg. So I can feel a stretch in my hamstring, but it's much more in my back because I'm using the belt. That's easier for me to access my back. And just relax and breathe into it. Okay. So we're going to finish with some kneeling rotation exercises, just to look at the whole back. And again, I could really do with moving this radiator. It's better if you can be flat to the wall, but I'm using the radiators to support me. I need to make sure I get the right knee sorted. So you're kneeling on one leg. The leg that's closest to the wall, if you lift that up, and you need to be close enough to the wall that you can feel it, but not leaning on it. And what you're aiming to do, so both arms out, and we're going to sweep the inner arm up and all the way around, so you get a nice twist through your back, and you're aiming to keep your upper body as close to the wall as you can. Now I've got the radiator in the way, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So we sweep all the way around, and so this is obviously a mobility move, so you should be getting some nice movement and a twist through up your whole spine. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. But this time, have I just done that the right way round? I need to check. In a knee up, I am right. I always get which knee up the wrong way around. And then rotate. Keeping your arms as straight as possible and out at shoulder height. So try not to let this front arm dip down like that. You want to be working to keep the whole move. Okay, and then the crocodile one. So this time it's the other knee that's up. So imagine your arms are that crocodile mouth. So again, you are close to the wall but not leaning on it. You should be able to feel it. Don't let that knee flop out or flop in. So you should be working hard through your glute muscles to stabilise your hip and your knee, and hard through your glute muscles to keep your pelvis tilted forwards. And then we're going to open that crocodile mouth and twist all the way around without letting any of that go. And then all the way around again. And you go as far as you can go. You might be able to get that back arm onto the wall. I can't. But nice and broad across your chest. Okay, and we'll do that on the other side. So inner knee up, hard through your glute, stabilise your knee, pelvis tucked under so you've got a nice flat back. Get your crocodile jaws ready and work hard through your glutes as you turn round so that you don't let this happen. So we don't want all this to collapse. So we've got to stabilise everything here so that we get the twist through the back and we're not letting the hips turn. And one more. Okay. Right. So hopefully your back feels a little bit more mobile, maybe a little bit stretched, a bit more space, might feel a little bit taller. So let me know how you get on with those, and check out Eat, Move, Be Happy for some other ideas on some mobility tutorials, but also different ways of exercising without equipment at home, so you can build your own workout if you check out www.eatmovebehappy.com, and share these videos with people that you know, or maybe people that you don't know. The whole idea is that whilst we're in this period of lockdown, even relaxed lockdown, this is obviously going to take a little bit of time, so trying to help with some ideas on how to look after your posture and your joints and your muscles whilst you are maybe a little bit more sedentary or sitting still and working from home, or watching quite a lot of Netflix or whatever it is. So that's what we're aiming to do. So if you can share far and wide, that would be brilliant. Thank you for watching, hope that's been useful, and let me know how it goes. I can look at different parts of the body if you would like me to, so just let me know. Other than that, you're going to be in my hands. So I will see you again tomorrow at midday for Movement Not Miracles. Thank you very much.